Okay, good morning, everyone. It's 8 o'clock, time to get started. Thank you for joining us here for the third day of Surge. Today, we're going to be focusing on understanding the scripts. I've been mentioning the last couple of days the initial script practice and then allowed you to go on for an hour to speak. There was a lot more to the script. To date, I've just had you reading it. I want you to just read the words, and also just get used to the habit of picking up the phone, dialing, and expecting to talk to the person on the other line. After that, get you used to the idea of each conversation is building towards a transaction or a referral. Um, that's what you always have to have in mind when you pick up the phone to get a listing, when you pick up the phone to get a buyer, you are going to be sorely disappointed. So it's always a good idea to really understand what you're doing, the purpose behind why you're doing it, and then effectively doing it as well as possible and constantly getting better. Today, we're going to focus a little bit more on breaking down what a script is, how they work. When this is over, I'm going to email you a whole bunch of scripts. They're not for you to immediately dive into. We'll prefer that you practice some of the basic ones that we'll go over. But I do want you to have it in your arsenal. At some point in training, some people move faster than others, and it can be frustrating if we're not moving as a group as fast as an individual. So I'll send it right after this meeting. I don't know if it'll take one or two emails. I'm not sure how big the files are, but look for that. There'll be some objection handlers. There'll be some great stuff from Debbie DeGroat, from Mike Ferry, some of the best scripts trainers out there. So look for that. But to start, this is something I've mentioned a couple of times. And again, this idea that no matter how awkward scripts practice and reading scripts and calling on scripts feels, it is super effective. This is my coach, Bob Corcoran, a gentleman I met a long time ago, and someone who I brought to our office. I think the years melt into one, but I think it was February 2017. Yeah, February 2017. And my goal was to bring a premier scripts coach to everyone in the office and teach them all and train them all like they were just cold call demons. And the goal was to just get everyone familiar with it to see how it works. So the things that we've gone over yesterday, the things we're going to go over today are basically Bob's training that he shared with me to share with you. And this was a photo that we took after the first 2 days. We had a call night. We had an hour and a half. I believe it was like 32 of us, maybe a little bit less. But this is what we did as a team in an hour and a half of calling. 75 appointments set, average sales price 900,000, sales potential 67.5 million, GCI potential a little over $2 million. Average agent was around 63,000 in 2 hours. I'm sorry. We had our lender with us, and she received 12 pre-quals. And for Jess and Mark and myself, we set 12 recruiting appointments. So the managers were not exempt from the fear and pain of calling. And again, the group that we were there with wasn't spectacular, wasn't like a bunch of cold call experts. It was just a group like you. And this is what they were able to accomplish. And I know it's what you can accomplish. And that's why I want to share this before we go into nuts and bolts of what is a script, what's a scripted out, what are some objection handlers, how do you steer clients back, because they're never reading the script back to you, right? So we'll get into some of that. And finally, I had a call with Bob yesterday. My coaching call was yesterday at 2:30, and I talked about what we were doing. And because he loves it so much, he was really excited. And he goes, "When can I call? When can I call him? I want to get on a call with him." So I'm going to try my best to schedule a call so that he can be on with us and he can share a little bit with you. I told him I like being the expert, so maybe I don't want to join the call, but I'm just kidding. I'll try to schedule something so you can hear directly from him. But my coach, my trainer, I think Keith's on the call. I think Keith was actually the best performer on this night. He probably said half of those appointments, but a true believer, and true believers are true believers because they've actually seen it happen, and more importantly, they've done it themselves. So I know you can do it too. And the next hour or so is going to be just about that, taking a little bit more detail into what is a script, why do we do it, how do we do it, and so forth. So here we go. The first thing to understand is scripts are just communication, and communication is king in our society. I think you all understand this. And successful agents have mastered the most important piece in selling, and that is communication. In our world today, everything is about communication. You look at the biggest companies, um, the biggest industries, and it's shocking how central and important communication is to it. And is especially true in our business. Everything else we do is secondary to this fact. You need to communicate with clients, potential clients first. Everything else we do is secondary to that. You can be the most technically proficient agent. You can understand the MLS and your CRM and everything else inside and out. You can read the contract backwards and forward. But if you don't have the skill and the desire to communicate with people, those things will never come into play. Conversely, people who master communication and are terrible agents do well in this business. And I know you know people like that. Here's what I would like to see. Technically proficient, really, really good agents that understand their business, but are also really good in this area of communication. So it's important to understand that when we are communicating with others, the words that you speak, the verbal portion of communication is 7% of what the other person receives and understands and internalizes. 38% is vocal. That's your pitch, your speed, volume, tone of voice. And the last is 55% your body language, all right? And this is really interesting. Of course, this is designed for when you're in person, when you're talking to someone. But I don't have the numbers here, but even when they do studies on people talking on the phone, it still holds like this. You know, wait a minute, how is it visual? Well, how you sit, how you project, fills in the blanks for the person on the other line. If the words you're using, verbal, if your tonality, your speed, your pitch, your volume is not optimal, then they're going to fill in the blanks on the visual, right? So if you're really slow and what image are they going to have of you on the other line, right? And the best way to do that, the best way to make sure that your verbal and vocal is really, really pitch perfect, no pun intended, even when you're on the phone, sit up straight or stand up. Some of the best callers always stand up because it just makes everything else easier and smoother. You're not compressed. You are pretending and you're acting like there's someone in front of you that can see you, right? If you're slouched, if you're laying back, that's going to affect the first two, and all of it is really, really important. And when we ask you to practice in a mirror, this is one of the reasons why. All right. If the words we speak make up only 7% of communication, then why do agents spend over 80% of their prep time on memorizing scripts and dialogues, right? Why did I stop a few of you 2 or 3 or 4 times? Because you messed up a few words. It's the 4 P's: power, pitch, pause, and pace. These are the things you have to understand. And once you get really, really good at your scripts, once you memorized it, once you read it, repeated, and now you kind of mastered it, then you really have to start thinking about these things: power, pitch, pause, pace. Communication is something you all understand, right? On the screen right now, you see 2 red birds. But which is your brain telling you is the actual red bird? It's one on the left, of course. So there's 2 red birds on the screen, but your brain only registers 1. That's how powerful visual communication is. The other things that you have to really understand, your face. Are you smiling? Are you frowning? Or this is the one that I struggle with the most. I think the natural resting uh, uh, state of my face is a frown. It doesn't mean I'm upset. It's just that's how I am. So I always have to work on it, and we all do, right? A smile is powerful. Your eyes are open. They're showing that you're interested. Your posture. You can't slouch. You can't lean to one side or the other. You want to be sitting up straight. You want to be creating and showing a positive stature to the person you're speaking to, even if you're on the phone. Time you're talking to a client or a potential client, you should be in character. You should never rest on that, even if they're one of your core advocates and you've known them for 20, 30 years. You went to school with them. They're in your family. When you're talking about business, you should act and talk and stand like you are communicating with a brand new client that you want to convert into an advocate for you. So, and then the gestures, right? A lot of us are good with our hands. Some don't do anything. Some do too much. But if you look at the most powerful speakers out there, I'm talking celebrities, I'm talking entertainers, I'm talking about politicians, you will notice they use their hands, they use gestures all the time. It's a really, really great to emphasize what you're saying, when you're making pauses, all kinds of things. Practice it. Watch clips of the best speakers out there and learn to copy them if you have to. And again, believe it or not, those things are important on the phone too. Most of the best realtors on phones always use headsets. And part of that reason why is their hands are free. And if you've ever watched some of the top phone dialers out there, they're standing up, they're walking around, and their hands are going everywhere, right? They're excited, they're motivated, they're just moving, there's just energy in their body, there's energy in their voice. And all of those things are super important to the person receiving the message. But whatever the words are, they're receiving all that positivity from you, through you, to them, even through the phone. Now we're doing Zooms. So you've got to convey that and practice that through your Zoom calls. All right, facial expressions. So one of the reasons that we are doing the Zoom calls from 10 to 11 with all of you on Zoom is because you have to practice this. I want you to understand at a certain level that you are being watched. So that's not a negative thing, that's to make you better. We know when we're being watched, we look and talk and act differently. So I could say from 10 to 11, all of you in your own house, in your own rooms, make the calls. A, you may or may not, but B, you're not able to practice amongst your peers on all of these issues. So I want you to make the calls, 10 to 11. I want you to be on Zoom. If there are good reasons, kids are in the background, things like that, I understand, just put your photo, don't put it on video. But if you can at all, while we're doing these calls from 10 to 11, put yourself on video and mute. Know you're being watched. Why? Because when you know you're being watched, you'll be more cognizant of your posture, you'll be more cognizant of your gestures, you'll be more cognizant of your facial expressions. And I want that to be there because I'm trying to help you get better, because that is all going to come through onto the person on the other line, right? If you think you're on the phone, no one can see you. You can look, you can act, you can do whatever you want. That's going to come through in your voice, right? Watching, I see some people, they're slouched and they're calling when we do the intake at 5 o'clock. You know, when it's time to talk, some people stand up straight and they express what they're saying, and it sounds positive. Others, they're like, well, I'm just here in my room. You're not. You're always on the stage when you're in real estate, and you should act like it. All right, smile. The strongest facial expression is the smile, the human smile. We can pick up a smile from 30 meters away. A smile lets us know that we're likely to get a positive reception, and it's hard not to reciprocate, right? So for those of you that are The 30 meters is 98 feet. That's a long way away. That's a third of a football field away. So, and again, the most incredible thing, a smile is effective on the phone, even when they cannot see you. It simply changes how you speak. It changes your tonality. It changes everything about the words that are coming out of your mouth. So get in the habit, and I'm the worst offender. So this is the pot calling the kettle black. I understand that. We all, like I've said before, we all have things we have to work on. This is something I constantly have to work on. Some of you are naturals at this. Some of you are like me. But we all can improve. So just remember, even when on the phone, even when they cannot see you, the one expression you want on your face as often as possible when you're in sales, when you're calling, when you're talking to potential clients, is a smile. All right, so here let's break into some of the things that we've talked about. I've kind of thrown it out while we're doing the script practice, and we talk about an A, B, or C leads. Most of you know what this is, but again, I don't want to pretend that we're all at the same level yet, or assume, let me say, that we're all at the same level. So I want this week to be about bringing it all back to basics. So after today, and whenever someone talks to you about an A, B, or a C lead, I want you to truly understand what it is, what it means, how you react to it, and what you do after it. So the beauty of this, it means that unless they tell you, do not ever call me again, do not ever send me a text again, they are one of these leads, every single person you talk to, all right? So the first one, an A client, that is someone ready to buy or sell in 30 days, fully approved for a mortgage or ready to list. We'll go out and start looking today, willing to set an appointment because they have got to go, all right? You are always looking for this client. Every call at some level in your brain, you're hoping once you get through the LM Mama, LM Papa, or whatever script you're using, you're going to finish with an appointment because they are an A client, ready to buy, ready to sell in 30 days, fully approved for a mortgage or ready to list, willing to go out and start looking. If they are ready to buy, ready to sell in 30 days, but they're not fully approved, they're not yet an A, right? Don't go out and show them. Get them pre-qualified. Hope Jane's on the phone today. Talked to her a little bit about that yesterday. This is how our team structure and how we move quickly and rapidly through these. This is where these things start to really make sense, okay? That's an A client. That's what you're looking for. This is rarely who you're going to find, all right? So don't be disappointed when 10, 20, 30 calls in, you still haven't found an A. We're going to talk at the end how we move C's to B's, B's to A's. All right, the B, ready to buy or sell within 30 to 90 days. These you call twice a month, like clockwork. Someone asked me, what does it mean on the check-in sheet at the end where it says task completed, right? And I mentioned to her, if you're making your phone calls, if you are setting up your database, every time you speak to someone, you're putting a task in, right? It's like, oh, they're not ready, call them in 90 days. Oh, they are ready, call to set the appointment. Oh, I set the appointment, don't forget to create the CMA. So you're always going through these things as you find out A, B, or C. These are time frames. Time frames, whether they're A, B, or C, also means that there are tasks that must be completed by a certain time in a certain order to be ready for them. These are tasks you're creating for yourself, all right? So you call someone today, they're like, when you ask going through LM Mama, and they're like, oh, we're thinking about selling in the next 90 days, they're a B. Immediately, you have at least two tasks that you put into your notes and to your database and CRMs. Call them twice a month. Call them next Tuesday, and the Tuesday after that, boom, you set your task based on your calling, and you're moving forward in your business. Right, your C is ready to buy or sell in 90 plus days. Call once a month. And yes, this means if they say, I'm going to die here, call them once a month until they say, do not call me anymore. All right. The superstar agent doesn't think about that. When someone tells them, oh, I'm never going to sell. All right, they're just a C client. That's it. C clients eventually become Bs. B clients eventually become As. But the agents that put their Cs in their database, create tasks, and then execute those tasks are the ones that get them to the B's and to the A's. If you call a C client today and you give up on them, you don't do anything because they're not going to ready to sell for a year, someone's going to cold call them in 12 months and get an A client. It should have been you. And you've already done the hardest part of the job, was to reach out initially. If you set up your database, if you understand the principles we showed you yesterday, and then you follow it and you complete the task, slowly, methodically, your C's will become B's, your B's will become A's, and you're killing it in real estate. And there was, how do they do it? It's like, I know my scripts, I build my database, and I execute the task in my CRM, right? You cannot speak to any of the top producers and find one that doesn't do these things. And here's a real secret. At some point in their career, they decided, I'm going to do the fundamentals. I'm going to do the basics, right? That should be you right now if it hasn't been to date. All right, so those are the ABCs. Communication is key. Here is something more that you have to understand about lead management. Always have an appointment. Next week, we're going to talk about scheduling. And every day, if all your day was filled with appointments, you would be happy. You would have no time for transaction management. You would have no time for classes. You would not be on scripts practice with us. But guess what? I would not care. You always have an appointment. Now, you're not going to have 8 appointments a day, right? But in your head, your goal should be, what should I be doing next Thursday at 3 o'clock? You should have an appointment. What should I be doing on August 15th at 5 o'clock? You should have an appointment. It's the default, all right? When you don't fill time slots in your schedule and appointment, that's when you put in all the other things you need to do. But your mindset should be, what should I be doing every hour, every day? Have an appointment, right? Call twice a month. I'm sorry, I misspelled something here. And put them on an email drip, right? So I'll start adding tasks. All the leads in your database, call twice a month. If they're, as you start recognizing that they're B's and C's, that might change, but initially this is what you're doing. Put on email drips. And then also next week, we'll talk about our marketing campaigns, and there's other things you can do. We've started setting up doing notes. We started setting up doing CMAs, sending letters. These are things that you can add into your database for your lead management to make sure you're getting the most out of the database you put so much time and effort into building. The C's you call once a month and put on an email drip. Again, there will be more things that you can add to that, but these are the minimum items that you have to have in your database. So in the homework, we talked about in the afternoon going back and looking at your database and check it out. If you have not yet, you need to assign everyone in your database as an A or B or a C. Then that will start having an effect on how you schedule your calendar, the tasks you put in, and the rhythm and flow of, right? So if they're A's, push to get an appointment with them all the time. If they're B's, call twice a month, put them on an email drip. If they're C's, call once a month, put it on an email drip. If you've got 200 people in your database and you're following these things, never again when we set up a call night or the training that we're doing now, or when you in your regular schedule looking at the scorecard that says, do you prospect 2 hours a day, you'll always have time to do this because you have a job and a role and specific activities that you need to do. Past clients and sphere of influence, call once a month and put on an email drip, all right? So building on yesterday, build that database, put it into your CRM that will allow you to create tasks and fill out your schedule, and then understanding the importance of communication, how lead management works, then you start to see and fill out, this is the job of a realtor. This is what we are supposed to be doing every single day, every month, every quarter. These are the basic building block activities that create the performance, the transactions, the success that we all seek. All right, so in the big picture, before we get into scripts to dialogue, scripts simply, they help you lead generate. They uncover motivations, they identify objections, they close deals, they speak in terms the customer understands, and they build confidence in you. The more conversations you have, the better you're going to get. Do I want you to start really smooth and a master script reader? No, I want you to start by, hi, my name is Robert. I just listed a property on 123 Main Street. It has 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. But as I memorize it, as I start to learn the power of a script, all the things about how we communicate, the things I have to worry about, my tonality, my speed, my pitch, my pauses, then it becomes better and better and better and smoother and smoother and smoother. And then suddenly, only you know you have a script. The clients don't. People who are listening to you don't know you're reading a script because you're not. Now you've internalized it. Now you've mastered it. This is the path we're on. All right, so what is a script? Seems like a simple question. It's just a written word. It's a tool for prospecting. It's structured to give you purpose to your call. Needs to be mastered by the user. You make it your own once you own it. All right, and this is I can't stress enough how important this is. When we're practicing, I stop you and I say, read it again. It's not your own yet. It is mine. It is whoever wrote it. You're trying to master it. Once you master it, then you own it. Once you master it, then you put in your good morning. Then you put in your side comments and little jokes and little and things that show your personality and style. That's once you own it, right? You can't do it backwards. There's probably 1% of the community that could do it backwards, but assume it's not you. Learn it the way the masters have learned it. Add your personality and keep the message clear. All right. I heard a few of you yesterday talk about being on the phone for 10, 15 minutes. All right. That is wrong. And you'll learn it eventually. If you are speaking for 10 or 15 minutes, you're way off the script. And reminder, unless it was a Ford call. And if it was a Ford call, then I take that back. But eventually, even a Ford, about 5 or 6 minutes max. But a script, a buyer script, a seller script, boom, in, out. Did you move through the phases? And you're gone. You're not having this really long conversation. If the message is clear, you can control the time. If the message is not clear, then it's going to go everywhere and any place. And then that's when you know the message wasn't clear. And that's why you're still talking 15 minutes in. And you only made 10 calls today instead of 50 because you weren't clear in your message with each and every dial. All right, so the path to a call to conversation. This is the script. As you master it, as you get better, it stops being a script and starts to be a conversation, even if it's a short one. All right. So here are the parts of that call to a conversation. It's your initial hello. You handle the first comment, start to establish you're in control. This is your call. What happens next? Follow the path of a call structure. They will try to take you off. And as long as you're committed and understand the script, that means you understand the path of the call, and you can always pull it back to what you want to ask next to move it to the areas you want to cover. And set the appointment. Every time you pick up the phone to dial, the one thing you have to have in your mind is, I'm going to set an appointment, right? Even if it's like, they're not going to sell. I just sold them a house next year. Well, set the appointment to have coffee in the near future so you can talk to them about your business and ask for referral business. Always have in mind, I'm going to set an appointment. Okay, so a script is a tool that gives you the most effective way to prospect. It has structure and will let your prospect know the purpose of your call. The script should be practiced over and over until you know the message, the correct way to proceed with your prospecting calls. Once you have mastered the script, add your personality to make it a dialogue. That's key. Do not be afraid that at first it is not a dialogue. Once you get good at it, it will be. That's your goal. So what is a dialogue? It is spoken word, but it now starts to involve voice intonation. It's the speed at which you speak, right? Helps you build a rapport with your client. These are things you'll practice, you'll get really good at, you'll become conversational, and that becomes really engaging for the other person And the more they like you on the call, the more likely they will answer your questions, the more likely they will follow your pace, your rhythm, answer your questions, and give you what you need, up to and including an appointment and or a referral. The other thing you want to understand in a script, and this is the key, the one key to keep the conversations a little shorter and keep them from moving into these 10, 15, 20-minute conversations that end up talking about dogs instead of real estate, right? And that is these 4 A's. Answer a question, then immediately ask a question. Or acknowledge a statement, then immediately ask a question, all right? So the key thing is when you're going to LM Mama and you're like, well, when do you think of moving? And the answer, fantastic. That's an acknowledgement. And then you immediately ask the next question. If you ask a question and they ask you a question, answer the question, then immediately ask a question. So when are you thinking of moving? Well, I don't know. When do you think the market will get better? Well, you know, we can talk about that in the future. But tell me, what kind of you always move it along? That's the easiest, fastest, best technique to master the 4 A's, to keep the person on the other line on your pace, on your script, on your dialogue. If they ask you a question, answer it, then immediately ask the next question in the script. Or when they say anything, acknowledge it, fantastic, amazing, fantastic, whatever. Then immediately ask the next question. The pace, the rhythm, you remain in control. They do not pull you off into some other conversation. You'll get to the LM Mama, LM Papa, close with an appointment. So those 4 A's, they're building the rapport. You don't push, you come to curiosity. Convert the salesperson to a solution provider. You're asking questions. You're asking questions and you're answering them. That's a solution provider. In order to maintain control of all conversations, it's important to follow this rule. Cannot stress it enough. Always answer the question and immediately ask another. Always acknowledge a statement and immediately ask a question. So when we do script practice in a few minutes, now you should have a little bit better understanding when we say just read the question, master the script, go on to the next thing. As you start role playing, we'll do more involved role playing next week. They'll take you off the script and then you will know, what do I do? What do I do when they pull me off the script? If they ask you a question, answer it, immediately ask the next question. If they just answer your question with a statement, immediately ask the next question. Very simple, very effective. All right, I'm gonna skip these. These are some of the things that we're gonna email to you a little bit later. Different scripts for things like sign calls, online scripts, follow-up calls. We won't spend too much time going over here because they're gonna give it to you later. But I do want to go deeper into what we covered yesterday with LP Mama, and then we're gonna talk about the next one, LP Papa, right? So this is the buyer conversion script that we used yesterday. This is what Bob taught me in our office a couple of years ago, and it's brutally effective. It's very simple. It's designed to be fast, designed to be quick. Each question has a very distinct reason why you're asking it, to get actionable information from the person on the other line. You want to know location, you want to know price, you want to know motivation, you want to know agent, is there another one, mortgage or cash, and appointment and close, right? That is the LP Mama. That's what the acronym stands for: location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, appointment. All right. The faster you understand what each piece is, then you learn the script, then you master it and go from script to dialogue. And I think some of you acknowledged in the follow-up call yesterday how you used it and you were able to get really important information that allows you to move to the appointment, which allows you to move to the close. And that's what you always want to be doing in these calls, right? So let's dig in on what the LP Mama is. And as you remember, The location was, the home you called on is located in the Barry S area. Is that the only area you're looking to buy in? Yes, it is. Boom, that's important information. Now in your mind, immediately you're like, I need to know everything about Barry S for this client. I need to put them onto Real Scout, show them how to look for any properties that come up in that area. I need to create a campaign. I need to set a CMA for the area. I need to make sure that they receive our Altos report for that area. Just an avalanche of things should come to mind on how you're going to get this person the information that they want, that they need, that they are asking for in this portion of the script. This should be received as permission. If they're like, well, I'm thinking of Sunnyvale or Santa Clara, I would go as far as Cambrian. Now you've got, again, really good information on how to proceed as their realtor. Just out of curiosity, what other areas are you looking to buy in? All right. So these are things, again, you will adjust over time, but master these simple basic steps. Where are they looking to buy? Price. Why? While I'm looking at that information, what price range are you looking to buy in? All right. And then some of you asked, well, the two questions seem to be repetitive. They're not. In most conversations, my first in this kind of answer, I'm going to give you a wider range. Then you want to refocus it, even if it doesn't change now, because you've asked twice. When you follow up with a secondary question about the price, is you're really locking down what in, right? And this could be important. This happens a lot right now. I know it does. What area are you looking to buy in? I want to buy in Santa Clara, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. What's your price range? 1.2 million. Boom, immediately you're like, all right, that's not going to happen. Now your expertise is going to come into play. Now you're going to send them what they asked for, but you might say, have you considered this area? Because you should know what are the secondary markets to the one they're looking for if their price range doesn't match their desire. The price, re-emphasizing that, their motivation. By the way, do you currently own your own home? If they own, oh, by the way, is your home currently on the market? If they rent, so are you month to month or are you in long-term lease? If their home is not currently on the market, again, you immediately have a listing buy potential. If they're renting, you know you're going to get them to the part about financing, and you're immediately going to bring in your lending partner to pre-qualify them, right? Here's the key. Realtors make this mistake all the time. When they get a buyer that's not pre-qualified, they think they're on stage. You are not. As soon as the buyer tells you, I'm not pre-qualified, you become secondary. Your lending partner becomes primary. Once you get them to call your primary lending partner, then they go through the process of pre-qualification. And then once they're done, then you're back on. Realtors love to choke everything. Well, I'll talk to them. I'll set the pre-qualification. No, have a solid partner that does that for them. When the client is in that phase, remember they are shopping rates. If they're shopping rates, you have to think they are shopping you. Okay? Do not fall into the trap that if they go to B of A, or if they go to Wells, if they go to Chase, they'll come back to me once they're set. The best practitioners in this industry want to work with partners. So if you send them to Chase and their preferred realtor is someone else, guess what part of that pre-qualification is going to be? Oh, you're talking with Joe? Well, he's okay, but I work with Mary and she's the best agent I've ever met, right? So have that in your mind. Not as a negative, just as how business works, right? And you want to stay on top of it. You want to make sure you get them to your lender, our partner, someone that we know and talk to every single day. When they're pre-qualified, everything about them is going to come back to you. Just out of curiosity, how soon do you want to be in your new home? All right. This is, you're setting up, are they an A, a B, or a C? If they're like, well, I'm not looking to move for another year or two, they're a C. What do you do with them? You have a plan for that. Call them once a month, email them. If they say, well, we're looking to move in the next 60 to 90 days, they're a B. You have a plan for that. If they tell you as soon as possible, hopefully within by June, the end of June, we'll find the right property and we'll move. They're an A, set the appointment. All right. So this was not as evident yesterday when we threw it at you. Now this is why we're filling that in. This is what you're trying to get. You can see near the end, that says, are they an A, B, or C? Now, hopefully, as you're rolling through and practicing and hopefully doing this, you'll understand, what does that mean? Are they an A, B, or C? Agent, do they have one? Again, as per our code of ethics, if someone is working with another agent, you're supposed to be hands off, right? The problem with that, especially when you just met someone, is they know no one wants to be sold. So when you say, are you working with an agent? You're giving them a really easy out to not be sold. Say, well, of course I'm working with an agent, right? So if you ask that question, are you working with an agent? You're almost always going to get a yes, which means technically you're supposed to be hands off, right? We went through all this work, and then most of the time it's not even true, right? It's a natural mechanism. It's a natural tool that a consumer uses not to be sold, right? So that's why we don't ask, do you have an agent? We ask, how long have you been looking for a new home, right? That's to start giving you a clue if they're working with an agent or not. How many homes have you seen the inside of? They do not have access to lock boxes. They do not have access to the tools that we use as professionals to see the inside of homes. Granted, this is more specific to outside of COVID-19, but I would still use the script now, master it this way. These are questions, different ways of asking, are you working with an agent? If these are negatives, they're not. And they're not trained to work against your script to find out if they're working with an agent or not, right? You're trained. You're asking honestly, you're asking ethically. These will give you the answer, are they working with an agent or not? Just out of curiosity, have you been seeing homes? Are you going to open houses with an agent or door knocking? You might want to add now, are you doing the virtual tours? And these are all openings again for you to see if they're working with someone else, and if they're not, to offer your services and help them do these things. So determine if you're working with a buyer on the mortgage. If a buyer, proceed to mortgage and then close for the appointment. If a B or C buyer, discuss the appropriate follow-up system, get their email address, and place in your automated follow-up system. All building on what we talked about yesterday. By the way, for the mortgage, will you be paying cash or will you need a mortgage? Determine then if you're working with an A, B, or C buyer. If a buyer, proceed to mortgage, that means partner, right? Well, fantastic. I work with a great lender. Her name is Jane Yang. She's going to help you get prepared. She's going to answer all your questions about what you need to do to prepare, what you need to get ready. Once you are ready, she'll let me know, and we'll go out and start looking at the properties that you like. Those are future scripts that we'll learn, but that's how you do it. Just smooth, easy, efficient, done. And then the appointment, close them. You've done all the work. You picked up the phone. You dialogue. You went through a conversation. You asked all the questions, and then they're ready and willing and waiting for you to say, when can we talk more? And this is where a lot of agents fail. They're just like, they kind of like me. I got through the conversation. I don't want to be pushy right now. You're not being pushy. If you did the script, they have told you, I need help. I need help. I need help. I need help. They haven't hung up on you. They still need and want your help. They're giving you permission to ask them to meet, to go over the solutions to their problems. You have to understand this at a fundamental level so that you don't at the end and say, I did 90%, that's good enough. That is not good enough. That's the worst way to do it. It'd be better if you never called. At least you'd save 2 minutes of your life. You get to the end, they're giving you permission if they've asked all the questions, answered all your questions, to close me, Robert. Get me in an appointment so you can answer all these questions in detail for me and move me along to moving into the property I like, in the neighborhood I like, at the price I like, okay? I cannot stress this enough. Learn the script, get through the dialogue, answer the objection handlers. You get to this point, close them with an appointment. All right, so that was buyers. This is sellers. It's very similar. Again, this is one we'll send you later today. I don't think we're going to practice this one today. I want to master the buyer script first, but I want to introduce it. It's kind of the same concepts: location, motivation, price, payoff, agent, and appointment, okay? Same kind of structure, designed to be very fast, very easy, very smooth eventually once you get from script to dialogue and into conversation. The same things, ask, answer, and acknowledge. Those answer, ask, acknowledge, and ask. Those will pull you back into the script whenever they try to take you on another stream, right? So again, very similar. Location, where's your property located? Will you be staying in the area, all right? Establishing two really important points there. Your motivation, just out of curiosity, how soon do you want to move? A, B, or C? Just out of curiosity, why are you selling your property? That's your motivation. Just out of curiosity, what are the three things you're looking for in an agent? The price. Just out of curiosity, have you been watching what the homes in your neighborhood have been selling for? If yes, then what do you feel your property is worth? If no, then what are you wanting to net from the sale of your property, right? So you can see how you're getting some really, really good information. And then again, you know what you're trying to elicit with each question you ask. They don't know why you're asking these questions, and they don't know what you're going to do with the answer. But you've established location. You've established through motivation, are they an A, B, or C? And now you're establishing, what do you expect out of this, right? How much do you want to net? Those three things alone can set a lot of tasks, a lot of information that you can then generate and send to them and be really valuable to them, all right? And we're only halfway through. So have you been watching what the homes in your neighborhood have been selling? If yes, what do you feel your property is worth? If no, what are you wanting to net from the sale of your property? The payoff and mortgage. By the way, what do you currently own the property? The agent, working with one or not? Just out of curiosity, how long have you been considering selling your property? Just out of curiosity, have you ever listed your property before? If yes, how long ago? All right. Here's the thing. When you understand the data, you understand the facts. How long have you been considering selling your property? The longer they've been considering, the more likely they've talked to other agents. Have you ever listed your property before? If yes, how long ago? Again, have they been working with someone else? What we know about realtors is they do not do the follow-up. They do not follow up the way they should once they have an active client or someone on the hook. Understanding that if you motivate yourself and force yourself to be the agent that follows up, when you ask this question, you know you found someone that lost a lead. They did not follow up. They did not have a plan for an A, B, or C seller, and they just cold call every day. They try to restart the engine every single day. But because you run a system, because you know how to have your database, because you read the script, have the dialogue, have the conversation, and establish they're an A, B, or C seller, and then you put a plan of action, and then you execute by completing your task every day, you won't lose that client, or you're less likely to, all right? So a lot of this is built around the inefficiency and the fallacy of all the other agents out there. Again, at this point, you determine, are they an A, B, or C seller? If A seller, set and close for the appointment. They've told you the location, they've told you the motivation, they've told you the price, they've told you the payoff, they've told you if they're working with an agent or not. They're begging you to set an appointment. Take the bait, ask for it. If it's a B or a C seller, discuss the appropriate follow-up. Well, listen, it doesn't sound like you're ready yet, but I'd love to send you information so you do understand what homes in your market are selling for. And I can send you an email update every month. We have a great program, Aptos reports, or fill in whatever service you use, and then just get the email, ask the permission, talk about Real Scout, whatever you do, to refine that portion of your setting if it's a B or C seller, and then just execute the plan. It works like a charm. All right. So the last thing is the appointment. Based on the information you've given me, here's what I recommend we do. Let's set up a time to meet at your home and go over the home selling process. We'll do a complete market analysis plus discuss my marketing strategy to get your property sold quickly. How does that sound? All right. Now, here's another place where a lot of agents who are not big listing agents or newer agents, they get stuck. They're like, uh-oh, it's scary enough to ask for an appointment, but now I'm going to talk to them about my market analysis and discuss my marketing strategy. I never listed a house before. Don't worry about it. Set the appointment, and then we'll help you fill in the blanks and do this effectively. All right. So what we need as an office, as a team, is to get you out there, build your database, add the names, make the calls, practice the scripts, go from scripts to dialogues to conversations, go through the location, motivation, price, payoff, agent, set the appointment, and then we'll build from that. All right. I believe that's. I have some more for you, but this is part of what I'm going to email to you. You got off light today. I'm about 9 minutes early, so I think I have. Yeah. So this is just more talking about how scripts work. I'm going to email to you so you can read at your own leisure, at your own pace. I think it's about 7 or 8 documents. Focus for now on the pattern, the rhythm, where we want to be. When we get back on at 9:30, we're still going to be reading. We're not going to be doing scripts to dialogue. We're not going to do that yet. But I wanted to introduce it now so that you can better understand why is Robert forcing me just to read it. That works. That's phase 1. Read it, internalize it, master it. Once you do that, then you're going to talk about tonality. Then you talk about speed. Then you're going to talk about smiling when you speak. Then you're going to bring in gestures, even on the phone or in a Zoom call. Then you understand, now I know why I do this, because I want to make it natural. I want to go through my LM mama. I want to go through my LM papa. I want to ask them questions that will give me answers that become actionable items for me to move them from a not met to an appointment to a met, to a client, into your sphere of influence, into your core advocates so that they refer you business and give you business. I just described to you in about 35 seconds how top producers work. It is literally that simple. Simple, not easy. Each one of those little nuggets in that quick statement has work, has planning involved, has execution, and has different levels of mastery. But you all are capable of doing it. If you do all the steps, but you don't do any of them particularly well, you'll still sell 5 to 10 deals a year. As you master each step, your level of production and performance will go up. And then when you start every year with your business plan, you will know it's not just a number. Just a wish board of making $1 million or $500,000 or $100,000. It's really writing up there, what are the steps I'm going to take every single day to get to this goal? We talked a little bit about 40X, lead and lag measures yesterday, mostly because I was motivated by Gino talking to the managers about it. In very short order, we're going to start teaching you that principle. But again, let's focus on the basics right now. You guys are doing a great job. One more, 8 o'clock tomorrow, 9:30, let's get back on. We'll do a little practice. 10 o'clock, we'll get on the calls, and then we'll move through our day and be really motivated, excited. I hope you're starting to see, if you've never really practiced with scripts, if you've never really worked with scripts, how it works. It's not just cold calling. It's not just you begging for a deal. It's you being actively participating in meeting the needs of people out there, sometimes before they even know they need you, right? But you've got to have the attitude that I know they need me. I just need to match them and find them and then get them into my database so I can create a strategy and a plan, execute it, and get the deals. All right. We're 5 minutes short. I guess I can take any questions if there are any right now. If not, thank you for your time. Go take your quick breakfast, go take your quick coffee break, and we'll see you at 9:30 for script practice. Oh man, we have 43 people today. Oh, I'm still on in case anyone has any questions. If you have a question,